When people talk about mysterious creatures lurking just beyond the edges of known science, a handful of names come up again and again. Among the most famous are Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, Mothman, and Chupacabra. Each has its own origin story, body of sightings, and attempts at explanation, and each sits somewhere between folklore, misidentification, and deliberate hoax. Looking at them individually helps reveal why these stories persist, and whether any of them have a realistic chance of being real. Bigfoot, sometimes called Sasquatch, is perhaps the most iconic cryptid in North America. Reports typically describe a large, ape-like creature walking upright, covered in dark hair, and inhabiting remote forests, especially in the Pacific Northwest. Sightings go back centuries if one includes indigenous oral traditions, but the modern wave began in the 20th century with footprints, blurry photographs, and eyewitness accounts. The most famous piece of evidence is the Patterson-Gimlin film, which shows a large, walking figure in the woods. Supporters argue that the creature's gait and musculature suggest something more than a person in a costume, while skeptics point out inconsistencies and the lack of any physical remains such as bones or verified DNA. From a biological perspective, the existence of a large primate species in North America would be extraordinary, as no known evolutionary lineage supports it in that region. The absence of a breeding population, fossils, or consistent biological traces makes the case for Bigfoot weak in scientific terms. Most likely explanations include misidentified bears, human hoaxes, and the powerful effect of expectation in remote environments. Despite that, the idea persists because it taps into a deep human fascination with unexplored wilderness and the possibility that something large and intelligent could still be hiding there. The Loch Ness Monster, often nicknamed Nessie, is rooted in a specific place, Loch Ness in Scotland. Descriptions usually portray a long-necked aquatic creature, sometimes compared to a plesiosaur, an extinct marine reptile. Sightings surged in the 1930s, accompanied by photographs like the famous surgeon's photo, which was later revealed to be a hoax involving a small model. Over the decades, sonar scans and underwater explorations have attempted to find large unknown animals in the loch. While some anomalies have been detected, none have conclusively demonstrated the presence of a large creature. Scientifically, the idea of a population of large animals living undetected in a relatively well-studied lake is extremely unlikely. Loch Ness does not have enough food resources to sustain a large breeding population of such creatures, and repeated surveys have failed to find convincing evidence. More plausible explanations for sightings include floating debris, waves, large fish, or optical illusions caused by the loch's unique conditions. The Loch Ness Monster remains a cultural phenomenon, boosted by tourism and media, but it is widely considered not real in any biological sense. Mothman stands apart from the others because it is less about a hidden animal species and more about a strange, localized series of sightings tied to a specific time and place. Reports emerged in the 1960s around Point Pleasant, West Virginia, describing a winged humanoid figure with glowing red eyes. Witnesses claimed it could fly at high speeds and sometimes associated it with eerie feelings or ominous events. The sightings culminated around the time of the Silver Bridge collapse, leading some to connect Mothman with disaster or prophecy. Unlike Bigfoot or Nessie, Mothman does not fit easily into known categories of animals, and the reports are more sporadic and less consistent. Skeptics suggest that many sightings could be explained by large birds such as sandhill cranes, which have wingspans and eye reflections that might appear unusual under certain lighting conditions. Psychological factors, including mass hysteria and the amplification of local rumors, likely played a role as well. There is no physical evidence supporting the existence of a winged humanoid creature, and the phenomenon is generally understood as a mix of misidentification, folklore development, and cultural storytelling, rather than a real biological entity. The chupacabra, whose name means goat sucker, originated in Latin America in the 1990s, particularly in Puerto Rico, before spreading to other regions. Early descriptions portrayed a reptilian or alien-like creature with spines along its back, while later reports, especially in the southern United States, described a hairless, dog-like animal. The defining feature of chupacabra stories is livestock found dead with puncture wounds, supposedly drained of blood. Investigations into these cases have often revealed more mundane explanations. Many chupacabra carcasses turned out to be known animals such as coyotes or dogs suffering from mange, which causes hair loss and gives them an unusual appearance. The idea of animals being completely drained of blood is also often exaggerated or misunderstood. Natural predation and decomposition can produce misleading results. Biologically, there is no known mechanism by which a creature would selectively consume blood in the dramatic way described without leaving other clear signs. The chupacabra legend likely grew from a combination of real livestock predation, misidentified diseased animals, and the rapid spread of sensational stories through media. Looking at all four of these cryptids together, a pattern emerges. Each began with a core of unexplained observations, which were then amplified by storytelling, media coverage, and human imagination. Over time, inconsistencies, hoaxes, and lack of physical evidence have undermined their credibility as real creatures. Science relies on repeatable evidence, verifiable specimens, and consistent data, none of which exist for these beings. While it is always theoretically possible that unknown species remain undiscovered, especially in remote or deep environments, the specific claims surrounding Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, Mothman, and the chupacabra do not hold up under careful scrutiny. That said, their cultural impact is very real. They reflect how humans interpret the unknown, how myths evolve in modern times, and how the boundary between reality and imagination can blur. People continue to search for them not only out of belief, but also because the idea of mystery itself is compelling. Even if these creatures are not real in a biological sense, they are very real as stories, symbols, and enduring pieces of folklore that continue to capture attention across generations.